Hey, my name's James Wilkinson and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now in this video, we're going to talk about how you can go from 0 properties in your portfolio to 10 properties and what's the best way to structure this and get it done. I think this is going to be a real eye-opener for you guys, so make sure you watch until the end. Now this channel is on a real growth spurt at the moment. We're so close to hitting 5,000 subscribers and I want to ask you to help me get that magical 5,000 subscribers. So while you're here, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the bell notification. Also, help me get some more views on the content by smashing the like button. So do those two things now, smash subscribe and hit that like button for me now if you can. So, investing in property. It's really a smart thing to do. And what is really interesting in property is that what you've got to look at it is not that it's get rich quick. Those that get struggles in property, over leverage, they do things that little bit too fast, they don't have things organised, and that really puts them in some difficult situations. And I want to show you, it's actually not as difficult as you think to go from 1 to 10 properties. This is something that I didn't know when I started investing in 1999, but since then, I've used this strategy that I'm going to teach you right now to grow a nice little portfolio. And I'm doing the same for my two daughters, Amelie and Georgia. So let's get to it and let's look at some numbers and how you can do the same too. So we're going to use easy numbers on this. So you might buy properties for more or less, but it doesn't matter. Let's just look at how this works. So let's talk about some 100 grand houses. They're the easiest ones to really make this understood. So if you want to buy your first 100 grand house to get you to number 1 on that property level, then you're going to need a deposit of around £25,000. £25,000. So that's going to be your deposit in there. And the bank will lend you 75 grand. Now, there will be other costs. Because it's a second home, there'll be stamp duty at 3%. There'll be legal costs as well. But let's just, for the making this easier to understand, just understand there are going to be some additional costs of around 4 to 5% on top of the purchase price, right? So you've bought your first property. Now, what do? How do you get your second property? Well, there's two options. One is that you just save a deposit to get another one. And you can do that by getting promoted, saving more, selling stuff. We had a bit of a sale spree during the pandemic, sold all sorts of things. Broken laptops, believe it or not, get good money on eBay. DVDs, VHS, all sorts of old toys and stuff like that. And you can make some good money just selling stuff. That could be one way that you do this. One is cut your costs. So reduce your outgoings in order to be able to save more money. But no one really wants to do that, right? So how else can you get this second property? Well, what will happen is with inflation, which is something that's been top of news for a long time recently, inflation will just mean that the cost of and the value of that house over time will go up in value. Think about when you started working. So when I started working in Burger King, the salary there was £2.80 per hour. Now, in my town, the minimum wage for that kind of job now is around £10.50. So it's around 4 times the amount that we got paid back then, and that's due to inflation. So things go up in value over time. Now, house prices normally double every 10 years. So in 10 years from now, you're going to have another property. The property is going to be worth 200 grand, right? Now, this mortgage is still going to be on there because you're going to have something called an interest-only mortgage. Now, they will lend you, the bank, when you go to refinance, 75% of the value of that property, meaning you can borrow 150 grand against this property here, right? So you can borrow 150. That would then be used to pay off that, meaning left in your pocket will be £75,000. Now, houses are now at 200 grand at this point in time. So the house here, you could use that 70k. You need 50 of it to buy another property, right? So let's have 2 properties now, and they're both going up in value, right? So now you've got your second property. Now, 10 years later, don't worry, we've got a shortcut on this because I don't want you to think, oh my God, I can't wait 10 years. This is going to take forever. 10 years later, this is now going to be worth a lot more money. So you would have 150 grand mortgage on this one as well. Now, 10 years later, you're now going to have 2 properties that are worth 400k, 400k, and you're going to be able to, at this stage, you're going to have the 150 grand mortgage. You're going to be able to borrow 300k. So you're going to put a 300k mortgage on here, a 300k mortgage on here, and then you're going to pay off this. So you're going to pay off this one, and you're going to pay off this one. Now, you're now in the option. You now have the opportunity to buy 2 more of these. So let's buy 2 more because we have got 150. We had 150 grand mortgage on our 400k, but we extended that to 300k. We paid that off. We've got 150 grand left to spend here. So we now have, between these two, 150 grand excess that we can spend here, 150 grand here. Deposits are 100 grand. We can now go to 5 of these properties. Now, all of these properties would have 300 grand mortgages on. Cool. Now, 10 years later, all of these properties are going to be worth 800k. Oh. And you're going to have 5 of those properties, right? So you're going to have 5 properties, all with these 300 grand mortgages. Now you're going to extend these mortgages again to 600k, right? Then of all of those properties, each of those properties there, you're going to have 300, you're going to put a 600 grand mortgage on here. You're going to have 300k times 5. That will allow you to get 5 more properties, and that gets you to your 10 properties. So, timing the market, not timing the time you are in the market, is one of the greatest things in property investing. Things compound, and over time you will be able to build a substantial portfolio. But I know that you don't want to wait, how many years we got here? 10, 20, 30 years to get 10 properties. But remember, this is just out of one pot of money. So if you were at the early stages able to get 2 or 3 properties, then if you were able to get 4 properties, you end up with 40 properties at the end of this 30-year period. But how can we do this a little bit sooner? So what we need to happen in order to jump down to this level is to take this 100 grand house and turn it into a 200 grand house as soon as we possibly can. Well, 2 things we can do. One is that maybe there's a growth spurt in the property market in that period of time, which has happened in the last few years. Maybe it happens in a 5-year period, just before like a recession or something like that, or after a recession. Or we can use a strategy called the BRRR. Now that's where we could buy a house for 100k here, and we'll be looking for a 100 grand house that needs significant work on it. How can we add value to that property? If we can add value to this 100 grand house here, we can get it closer to this 200 grand sooner. Now, we might not be able to do that straight away in the same year. It might just not be possible. But what you might be able to do is get this 100 grand house below market value by buying from an auction. Instantly, you're going to lock in some equity doing that. Or you buy off the market, direct to vendor. That could be one way. And then you add value. Could you add an additional bedroom to that property? Possibly. Could you have a new bathroom or kitchen if you buy a rundown property? We did this in Doncaster. We took a property, we didn't double the price this quickly, but we took a property for 60k from an auction. We spent 12 doing it up. and then that property was revalued at 100. So we got it from 60 to 100, which is almost double in just a few short months. And this is how people go from one property to 10 properties just using one pot of money. It's recycling. So there's two ways really in short to do this. One is time. Time is your friend. Property prices are going to keep going up. They always have done. They always will. We still have a shortage of properties in this country. The only real time that that's going to change is if the government build 300,000 houses per year, which isn't likely right now. That's not happening, is it? So that's one thing that's on our side. Two is to add value to the property so we can make this journey that little bit quicker and we can compound it. A third way, if you're looking forward to doing this, is to get your deposit to buy this next 100 grand house, is rather than renting this out as a buy-to-let, run it as a high cash flow strategy, as an HMO, a house of multiple occupancy, or run it as a serviced accommodation. That way you might make more than £1,000 profit if you do it right, and that can be all saved for the deposit for the next property. That's another way that you can do this. So I hope that makes sense. Any questions you've got, do comment below. Do smash the like button. But are you going to be on your journey from one property to 10 properties? Let me know in the comments below. Do subscribe and hit the bell. Check out all the other content on my channel, including this video right here.